the 7 characteristics of request. So I'm going to turn it over to Mynoo as I continue to, Mynoo, let everyone in the background, and thank you all for coming. So nice to see you. And I'm sorry I missed you all last week.
Thank you, Catherine. Okay, welcome everyone. Request has a request and promise. They are literally 2 sides of the same coin. And we have a business collective that I work with, and really I work with them to really create a business model and a way of working so they achieve extraordinary results, which is a combination of unprecedented performance, operational excellence, and transforming quality of life for themselves, their stakeholders, and the planet. And I say to people who are a part of that let's play the game of making the impossible happen, turning the impossible from a vibration of not possible to I am possible. To make the impossible happen, it's a very different ballgame. It is literally as if to make the possible happen, you have a set of tools that you can use, and you can use, I call it a blue box set of tools. You use more of those, and you can achieve really ambitious goals in the realm of making the possible happen. When you are making the impossible happen, it's a red box set of tools, completely different. It's a little bit like, you're a hammer, you see a nail and you see a screw on the wall. A hammer knows how to knock, and it goes knock, knock, knock on the nail. The nail goes in the wall, it goes knock, knock, knock on the screw. It often damages the wall. It is a little bit like that. Now, request and promises, those are the 2 actions, and the only actions actually that count when you're in the realm of making the impossible happen. It literally creates an opening for you to operate in a very different way. Now, we've learned about promises, and we looked at the 7 promises hidden within a promise. So it's very motivational to operate from a promise realm. Today, we are focusing our attention on request. Because whatever's said and done, even if you feel that you're in the realm of making the possible happen, all of that is happening, in this space of the new world. And you've heard me talk about the 10 commandments that form the 10 facets that make up the foundation of the new world. And they include uncertainty is certain. Take nothing for granted as the modus operandi. Change is constant. Unknown is the known, and so on. We have a very unique opportunity to shift from surviving through our strategies and our approaches to actually thriving where survival is taken care of. We have a very unique opportunity because at the foundation level, it is regenerative. So we can adopt regenerative strategies, which basically means, you allow yourself to think in such a way that every effort, every resource you put into anything regenerates itself, giving you the space to take on the next thing. And so therefore, even if you feel you've got an ambitious goal, but you've done this before, it's actually going to play out on this new foundation. So there's a very big element of whatever it is that you're engaged in. There's a very big element of it that will fall in making the impossible happen, especially when you have your first experience of taking nothing for granted. So you may as well develop your prowess of making requests and promises. So I can see why in this new world, requests and promises are pearls of wisdom in their own right. Remember how I define a pearl of wisdom. A pearl of wisdom is something which just by itself enables us to create a world that works for everyone. So let's look at requests, the 7 characteristics of a request. So think about it. Request is in the realm of, interacting with people. Now, when we interact with people, we are communicating, and there are different forms of communication that we can engage in. You can have a command-based approach. You can have, like a very, very neediness coming from that space. Entitlement could be the one that's fueling your interaction. Validation could be fueling it. So request is different than any of those ways. So that's why it's important to understand the characteristics, particularly important because a request is an action, a whole and complete action in its own right that enables you to move impossible to I'm possible. So the first characteristic lies in the word itself, request. It is regarding a quest. It's regarding a quest. A quest, there's depth to quest. Quest, like it's a long or arduous search for something. So we each have a quest. Our soul chooses to take this human form as a part of its quest for expansion. And in this lifetime, there is a quest that you have. Even if you're not very clear about what that quest is, it's a quest of aliveness, whatever your choices may be. So the characteristic of a request is it is regarding a quest. So the clearer you are, the more focused, more streamlined your request will be. So I'm playing the game of humans and humanity, experiencing, accepting and expecting and accepting miracles as their norm, and doing so with ease, joy, and grace. So that's my quest. So anything and everything I do is in that realm. Now, in pursuit of that quest, I have a business, I have a foundation, I have my own personal practices that I do. And in the context of business, I'm playing the game of extraordinary results. So there's a very specific set of results that I've signed up for, and everything is in service of that overarching quest. So when I make my list of people I'm going to make a request to, I'm stationed in my quest. And I can make the request knowing that when you do make a request, people can accept the request or they can deny it. There is an openness that comes with it. And because you are, the first characteristic is, it is regarding a quest, then if people deny it, it's okay. You'll make a request of someone else. It doesn't throw you off. You literally, you stop spending time on making anything mean anything. And you can operate fueled by facts. Because you are in pursuit of your quest. So whatever communication you have is regarding that quest. What it also does is it keeps you connected with that, with your quest. So at all times, I am connected to expecting and accepting miracles as my norm. Who am I, and how can I even share it with anyone if that's not where I live? So as a result, I am armed with my miracle lens through which I see whatever is occurring. When I'm armed with my miracle lens, I'm always looking for that which makes my heart sing. So I'm also plugged into my heart. My heart is always stationed in the now. It doesn't move from the now. And it is true to what its function is. Being connected to my heart, it immediately places me in my presence. And I'm comfortable in my presence. And I can be fully present. So so this is where the power, the rocket fuel for request comes, because it is about a quest. And it plugs me into my heart because I'm using my miracle lens, and you can have whatever it is that you choose to have. Aliveness is a good one. When you are present and you are making a request of someone to do something for you, or request to someone to stop doing something, you're not attached to receiving a positive response. You actually are declaring that you're open to whatever the response is. Doesn't mean that you will accept it. If you're asking for someone to step aside and they say, I decline your request, then that you will have a further conversation with them to establish what is missing and essential for them. Or you can say, okay, if you don't, then I step aside. Request and promise as a means of communication, as a means of furthering your projects, whatever your projects may be, even if it is a me project me, finding yourself, or actualizing yourself, or it is a hardcore business project, requests and promises builds a natural momentum that moves you forward. And I've been saying this for the last 3 years at least, that it's all about moving forward. The currents, the energetic currents on the planet are about forward movement. When I work with my business collective, leaders of the collective, and they get the idea of requests and promises as their way of realizing their ambitious, resolve-oriented goals, we create games. I say to them, look, the most important thing is to get comfortable making these requests. So what if you took on, just to get into that request frame of operating, what if you took on making 6 requests before breakfast? And it literally gets that momentum going. What it does is it creates a request mindset for you. And that in itself gives people the space to know that they can decline your request. It transforms your relating to people. It transforms your relating to your goals or ambitions. They become a quest, and a knowingness sets in that that quest will be fulfilled in this lifetime. A lightness of being comes in. With the lightness of being also comes light. And what that does is it literally allows you in any conversation to be able to see what is yours to do and what is yours, not to do. The light starts to highlight to you where intervention is required and where you're meant to just let it pass. All from this first characteristic, understanding that a request is regarding a quest. The second characteristic of a request is it is enlivening. For all of those reasons that I've described only moments ago, it is enlivening. It's enlivening because, to me, what it does is when I'm in the realm of making requests and promises, it's like fear disappears and it becomes a game that I play full out with presence, knowing that not all of my requests will be accepted. And if they are, that's cool. And if they are not, that's fine. There are so many people out there that I can go to. Now, remember, I always talk about when I'm doing the Pearls of Wisdom and we're looking at 7 ways or 7 characteristics or whatever it might be, I always talk about the lay of the land. Very good idea to have done the lay of the land. So in this realm of expecting and accepting miracles becoming the norm for humans and humanity, I have a whole collection of people, projects, corporations that I'll be making requests to and what I'm going to promise them. So there is like the master list of requests and promises. And in the context of the project that I'm working on and the plan that I'm implementing at any particular point in time, there is a subset of that is the focus for this week or for this month or for the next 90 days. But I already know that if the people that I'm going to make requests of today, they don't accept those requests. And I believe, having examined it, that the job really does require to be done. There are others that I can go to. So it's enlivening. And the conversations actually become light. And what you're achieving are significant milestones. So it's quite interesting, And because you're fully present, you find that when you're having interactions with others, they become fully present. You are appealing, your words are appealing, and their responses are appealing to you as well. You're not fearful of what if they say no. Well, they may say no. It's 50-50 chance that they may do. But it's the way you are approaching it. It gives you a lightness of being. That is what is appealing. And more often than not, your requests are likely to be accepted. And I'm not talking about this particular aspect here, but I also have this distinction of unreasonable requests, making a request without a reason. Really what I mean is making a request without feeling you have to give a big, long preamble to justify, give reasons for why you are making that request. When you understand the request is about a quest, and you start experiencing this enlivening characteristic, you automatically start shedding the need to justify your request. So often what happens is when we often spend a lot of time justifying, and even if it is a justification to ourselves, and that justification becomes the preamble, and the request is often lost. So it's not clear that you're even making a request. It looks like you were just sharing. So people don't know that they have to take any action. This is the nature of a request, is, it's really about the quest and that's it. You don't need to go around explaining the quest to a lot of people. So when I'm engaging with it and I'm working on a business or a very specific project, all I have to do is to share the intention of that project. I don't have to give a big, long explanation about my quest. That shows up in the way I'm being as I'm expressing my request. Enlivening characteristic is key, and it literally becomes activated because you automatically presence your own presence. And in doing so, you're giving the other person to be permission to be present in their own presence. And that's the enlivening aspect. It's like the spark is sparked. And both of you are in this enlivening state. And it can be a really powerful communication, even if the response is no. What it also does, because of this enlivening nature of it, it has you become clear about what is it that you are requesting. When you are making an unreasonable request, a request without having to give reasons, the preamble disappears. So you automatically get clear about your request. I use the phrase, my request is, and you're free to accept or you're free to say no. I mean, deep down for some of the requests, I know that it really would be important for them to say yes, but because I'm choosing for it to be a request as opposed to a command, I'm open. There are times, all your communications are not requests. There are times where a command is necessary. Stop jumping off the top of the slide. Take the slide to come down. You'll hurt yourself. That is a command. I won't stand there saying, I request you to consider this. No. So you'll decide. I've chosen, and it's taken a while, it's taken a few years for me to really have every action that I do to be in line with, what I've taken on as my gig on the planet. So pretty much most of my conversations, with few exceptions, that are command-oriented, they are all requests. There's a third characteristic. I mean, it's one of my favorite words, actually, quintessential. Really a request, because it is about a quest. It stations you in your quest. When it stations you in your quest, it's a quest of your soul, choosing to express itself through this human form. Those of you who know your source mastery, that's part of your quest. So you're operating in your mastery. You're enlivened. You land up really being this representation of the perfect or a typical example of quality or class. You become a person who's the perfect example of what your quest is. Quintessential, literally, places you with humility and gravitas at the same time. The desire to have over communication literally just disappears. And remember, when I talk about the 7 ways or 7 characteristics, I always say to people, yes, each one of these is so powerful, it'll transform your life. And if you actually did it in sequence, each one builds on another. So here, this is characteristic number 3. You understood it is about your quest. You got clarity about your quest. And you're choosing to have your red box set of tools alongside your blue box set of tools. You're enlivened, you're clear, you're present. So you know when you're going to use a hammer, when you're going to use a screwdriver. because you can see the differences in whether it's making the impossible happen action or it's just moving something forward. You've gotten comfortable communicating with people for what is it that you require to get done to further your quest. And you become comfortable in making those asks as a request. And it's you don't allow automatically. This is where the quintessential shows up. You're not loaded by anything. People often come in very loaded with their own experiences, be it investors, be it people that work for you, or potential suppliers or partners. They have their life experiences, their business experiences, and they come loaded with whatever it is that they have made those experiences mean. When they come into your realm and you are operating from a space of requests, and every word that comes out of your mouth is regarding your quest energetically, and you are fully present, you're able to pick up that they are loaded, or they're feeling the burden of whatever it is that they may be engaged with. You don't take it on. You hold the space and you still make your ask as a request. They actually don't feel that they're loaded even more, because neediness disappears from within you. A sense of desperation doesn't exist when you're in this realm of request. Because the clearer you become about what is your ask, you're able to talk about that so precisely. Your words land in a way that people get what you're actually asking them. You're not loaded because you're decluttered. And you literally become a living, breathing example of your quest. People feel, yeah, she means it, she's getting that. And they can choose whether they want to jump on that bandwagon or not. That inertia, your bandwagon starts to roll. You achieve that shift in a state of inertia within yourself. And in an enlivening, entertaining, interesting, appealing way, you're able to share that with a clarity in your ask that you're more likely to have people say yes than no. It brings an automatic sense of effectiveness in your efficiency. Requests and promises, the most efficient way of realizing anything that you set your mind to, making happen, making come alive. The fourth characteristic of a request is that it is uncompromising. It is uncompromising, not that you're attached to the person saying yes. It's uncompromising in that you are open and respectful of people making their own choices. And that choice may be positive in terms of accepting your request, or it may be they don't want it. They don't want to accept it for now. You become uncompromising about yourself, your own choices, knowing that we are choosing at all times. We are choosing even when we choose to make no choice, even when we choose to declare that I have no choice. You chose that declaration. It's not true. It becomes your truth because you declare it. But you become uncompromising, literally non-wavering. And that in itself brings about a steadiness, and you appear steady and resolute. whilst having a lightness of being, having a clarity of purpose, having precision and clarity in your communication. And what this does, it automatically brings in this very important characteristic for all of us to have when we are dealing with bringing forth what we stand for in a world where uncertainty is certain, unknown is the known, take nothing for granted, and change is constant. It literally stations you in your resolve. You're always plugged into your quest. What that does is your human form is in sync with your soul being. And it is your soul being that really is running the show with the human form as a vessel of its fulfillment. It automatically connects up like that. So you have the power of the limitlessness of your soul presence, the knowingness of its indestructible quality. You literally relinquish all the negative connotations around fear, and you can go forth and multiply. And remember, this whole request and promise, which is why I know it, they are pearls of wisdom. They automatically have you operating either as a collaborator, certainly as a co-creator, and coexistence is something that becomes a de facto standard by which you operate. So you can be uncompromising and not wavering. All it does in the context of request, it brings a steadiness and has your experience be resolute with a lightness of being when you're interacting with people. You are able to, this piece, when I put that into practice, the uncompromising piece, and in the context of requests, I made a promise to myself that I'm going to live my life without any unsaid communications. Because I understood that one unsaid communication results in 100 unfulfilled expectations. So I take stock. Some of you know that of my stock taking that I do at the end of each day to really be in a state of, harmony. So I take stock of where there are unsaid communications that might have built up today. The first time you do it, it's a lot. Then you just keep working your way through it. Some you say to the persons, others, the person may not even be there. You still communicate to their higher self, whatever it is that you wish to communicate. Sometimes people have just crossed over. They don't even exist. So, there I've made a choice for myself. And that, again, it further accentuates a lightness of being with which I make the request. It gives me even greater clarity, because sometimes we have unsaid communications because there's an underlying fear or worry or anxiousness. And that's what gives rise to a preamble, which beats about the bush and it's not clear what it is that you're requesting of someone to do. When you become uncompromising about your own choices, you become honoring of other people exercising their own choice. And you're actually able to have the request vibe in your communication. Command and control, vibrations of that release. And you automatically start operating from what you are resolved about, as opposed to operating from a sense of attachment or entitlement to a particular result. And your presence feels steady and resolute. People feel a sense of trust in you. And you start trusting yourself. Your trust in the world, in people's innate magnificence and goodness starts to expand. And you're able to take it when they are not in their magnificence. Because when you are uncompromising about your own choices, you can choose to spend your time being judgmental about people, or you just take them for wherever it is that they may be present, knowing that you don't like this interaction that you're having with the person right now. It's okay, it's their choice. I don't have to sign up to that choice and damage my own experience of aliveness, but you can choose. You also stop fixing others. It's nothing to fix, really. Everything is a function of choice. And then you have far more time to play the game, which is in line with your quest. The fifth characteristic of a request is, especially when you do it at this point where you've gone through the first four, now you're in the fifth characteristic, it is engaging. It's engaging. Just your presence alone is engaging, even before you've uttered a word. I very rarely blurt out my request. I always say, I have a request. Can I make that? And sometimes the people say, well, I'm just too overwhelmed right now, so would prefer not to. That's fine. But it is engaging. It gives them the freedom to say that. A lot of the time we are engaged in, we may call it request, but it feels a little bit like a vomit when the person is not ready to receive it. And then that combined with lack of clarity, so you're going around doing the drunken walk around preamble, things don't move forward because nobody knows what's actually going on here, other than I already have too much here. And now I have to listen to you. Out of politeness, I can't say anything, but nothing happens. It's not engaging. It doesn't draw favorable attention or interest. You just got your tissues and wet wipes up to wipe off this vomit that's just happened on you. Such a visual, horrible experience. We do this. We've all engaged in it from time to time. What happens by the time you get to this point, because a request is engaging, I'm able to say to people, I know you're so excited about what you want to say to me. If you want to share, fabulous, share. But if you have a request, do you want to just take a moment to get clear about that? That's my request of you. And then you can share, and you can also make a request. You're honoring, you really honor your own worthiness. And in doing so, you automatically honor that in others. And a lot of the times, people are so excited about what has happened for them. And they just, firing on all cylinders, and they know that they want to move this forward now from here, and they need to talk to this one and that one and that one and that one. It looks like a need to talk to. But why? Need to share or need to make requests? Get clear. Always be clear about the lay of the land. When uncertainty is certain, unknown is the known. Change is constant. Take nothing for granted as a modus operandi. The clearer you are about your lay of the land at any point in time, the easier it is for you to really flourish and expand with where you're standing on this moving ground. So the clearer you become about the lay of the land, I'm so excited right now, and I've got all these people I feel I need to talk to. Who am I sharing with? You do want to share with your cheerleaders. It's totally fine. And not all cheerleaders are going to be your co-creators. You start becoming clearer because a request is engaging. You want them to be engaged in furthering your quest. When you are, this is, by the way, the innate vibe of a request is engaging. Just like innate vibe of love is amplifying. Request is engaging. Trust is putting a stake in the ground. So given that the vibe of a request is engaging, let's just get clear. What is it that you want them to be engaged in? Sharing your enthusiasm. Being your rock. Being a sounding board. Being a devil's advocate. Get clear. Where are you actually you just want to share. You don't want them to do anything. You just want them to join you in how you're feeling. Be it good or bad, whatever. So often, and I did that a lot, when people would share, whatever had occurred and it hadn't gone the way they wanted to, I would immediately be offering solutions to fix it. Well, they didn't want fixing a lot of the time. They just wanted to share. That's it. They know what to do. And we're bombarding, they will start feeling overwhelmed by all these solutions coming at them. Not very engaging. There's a pushback that starts to happen. So when you are experiencing a pushback, whatever you communicate from that point on is just, it's like, it's not going anywhere. A request is engaging. You can interrupt your communication at any point in time and declare, okay, right, I actually want to make a request. Give me a few moments. Let me get clear about what that is. Now they're engaged. They're intrigued. And you have the space. You have a favorable attention and interest from them. The sixth characteristic of a request is solutionary. It's a word that we came up with, I think Joni's here on this call. And when we were doing the World Dignity Forum, we said what we wanted to have there were solutionaries. People who've actually come up with a solution and they want to share that solution, not just an idea. It was solutions. This characteristic of a request, it automatically positions you as a solutionary, seeking a solution or someone who has got solutions that he or she is there to share. Now, the fact that it brings that, again, do the lay of the land. Because when you're making big requests, or even smaller ones, if you are aware of how and where you are a solutionary, that you have got something that you can offer, that you can even promise, you can go into that repository of the solutionary solutions that you have, that you can share at the appropriate time. It becomes a solution as opposed to, something that is going to be a patchwork fix. And people truly engage with the solutionary personality that you show up as. We all, if you've lived your life with conscious, and you're consciously aware of various things that have occurred in your life, if you've lived your life with conscious awareness, even better so, you've got a collection of solutions and a nuanced understanding of those that will support people in massive ways. You relating to yourself as a solutionary that has got something that is worthy of sharing as a solution, it automatically has you become present to the dignity of you. You start acknowledging your own worthiness. You become present to the gift of you and the gifts that anyone can experience through you. It's very humbling, actually, because you don't have to put on a facade. The reality is so rich. The reality is so grounded in what you have already done. You don't need to pretend anything. It gives you the confidence to make your requests and asks in a timely fashion, because you know you already have something worthy of sharing that others could benefit from. And you will get it out when the time feels appropriate to share that. You become a dignitarian. For me, the exciting part about this particular pearl of wisdom was it connects you, reconnects you, and brings center stage to you two of the three things that you are born with: choice and dignity. Dignity is honoring of your own worthiness. And this particular one, number 6, solutionary, is the honoring of your own worthiness in very grounded ways. There is no deluded, there's no delusion of your own worthiness there. It's very grounded. So I say at least once a month, if not once a week, take stock of how many more solutions have emerged that you've actually developed an expertise in, that you can share. Each of these pearls of wisdom, each one, and I say it's a pearl of wisdom because as a pearl, it is whole and complete in itself. A necklace doesn't need 108 pearls. Even one pearl can create a beautiful piece of jewelry. And if you have all 108, you have so much flexibility to do whatever it is that you wish to do. It is whole and complete in enabling us to create a world as a world that works for everyone. Like Bucky Fuller said, you are a solutionary in your own way of that world. So keep taking stock of that. Remember the power of acknowledgement. when you acknowledge that which you want more of, its power expands even more. It becomes so nourishing and nurturing that it automatically blossoms. And this is one of the characteristics of a request. It stations you in a knowingness that you are a solutionary. And by the virtue of that fact, you also recognize that everyone else is a solutionary in some way. It literally replaces judgment with curiosity of getting to know people better. You become more engaging. You become more engaged yourself. The seventh characteristic of a request is it's timely. It's never too late and never too soon to make a request. Once your quest is clear, whatever that may be, in the quest, there is a meta quest that I have, and there's a quest of finding the perfect primary school for my grandson. So there's a set of requests that I'll be making for that. So just be aware that it doesn't all have to be super grandiose. Your meta request, your meta quest is aliveness, really. Everything else comes underneath that. And what are the ingredients? What are the pieces of your life that support you along the way? And you can have requests related to those. You can apply requests and promises to particular milestones, to particular here and now issues that you may experience, and for the big strategies, even to build and leave a powerful legacy, you can use requests and promises. So a request is timely. What that means is, what is timely? Timely is when something is done or it occurs sufficiently early, it's prompt, it's done in good, suitable time. There's no rush. And it gives you the space to continue to be creative. And it is a characteristic of request. Its very nature is that it's timely. And by the time you get to the seventh characteristic and you worked with all of the ones before the seventh, understanding that a request is regarding a quest, number one. Number two, it is enlivening. It is, number three, it's quintessential. You become a person who's a perfect example of your quest. Number four, it's uncompromising, not wavering. It puts you in a state of being steady and resolute in how you show up. Number five, it's engaging, draws favorable attention or interest from those that you are making requests of. And number six, it stations you as a solutionary. You recognize yourself as a solutionary, and you honor and respect others as solutionaries in their own right. Big or small, they are a solutionary. You know the requests you're making now are timely. It's a perfect time. There's a trust that starts to develop. And this characteristic literally brings in, infuses you with the trust frequency, which is you putting your stake in the ground. These are the seven characteristics of request. I say, play with it and experience the joys that arise. Over to you, Catherine.
Mynoo, when you said this one was going to hit the bullseye, I think we will all agree. Wow. Thank you for recapping that at the end too. So much amazing information. And I don't know about everyone else, but I feel so much better knowing that we can release this fear when we're making the request. And it's ours to be clear in making the request, but it's not ours to take on the expectation of how it's going to turn out or what's going to be received. And I think that is the part that just holds us so tight. So thank you for giving us that amazing gift. I love this new lightness of being that's created when we really understand what's ours to do with making a request. It is fun. It's time to play the game. Thank you all so much for coming. Mynoo, amazing. Loved it. Always surprised and always magical and beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. Have a fabulous weekend. Thank you.